Hi, it's Marek from TripSolo. Today I would like to show you a game called Dice Miner. This is a fantasy dice drafting game. The game was published by Atlas Games, and thanks Atlas Games for sending the game for review. And this is an easier, lighter game that takes like 20-30 minutes to play. And in this game you play as dwarves. And the story in this game is that dwarves lived under the mountains in the past, and they fought together. They fought against dragons, arch enemies of dwarves, and they managed to defeat the dragons. They moved up to the surface. They built nice cities. But now the dragons are back, and the dwarves have to go back to the mountains. And in this game, you will mine a mountain, because as you can see at the back, you have a lot of dice in this game, and at the start of the game and at the start of every round, you have to fill a mountain with dice, and then you can mine the dice from top of the mountain, so you cannot take dice from the bottom. And you have different dice with different abilities. You have treasure dice, magic dice, you have tools, you have some hazards, and you can dig tunnels. So you have a lot of mountains, and different dice score different points. The whole game, you play 3 rounds in this game, and after that you calculate your final score, and the person with most points wins the game. The fun is that you cannot always take the dice that you want, because you have to mine from the top and take the dice from the top to the bottom. So you have to think which dice to take, which dice may your opponents take. So it's really fun. You have 6 heroes you can choose from, and these heroes, they have some specific symbols that you use in addition to the dice that you will dig every round. There's also a solo mode included. The solo mode plays a little differently than the multiplayer game, so you can play it solo, you can play it up to 4 players. Let me show you how the components look like in this game. We'll do an unboxing, and then we'll come back here and I will tell you what I think about this game, how does the solo mode work, and if I like it or not. So let's do the unboxing first. This is the box of Dice Miner. You can see a really great cover art with a dwarf and a dragon and a doorway inside his mouth. It's really good looking cover. And here you can see the back of the box. You can see different dice, you can see the mountain, and all the other components of the game. The game contains mostly of dice, because this is a dice game where you have to roll your dice and you have to take dice from the mountain. Okay, let's open the box. Here we have the rule book. The rule book is not very long, it's just 8 pages. Here you have the overview, component, setup, solo mode is in a separate rulebook. Gameplay, it's just 4 pages. This is a nice, not a complicated game. You can probably learn how to play it in 5 minutes. It's it's nice, quite easy game that you can play when you have less time or energy for big titles. Here we have the solo rules, and the solo game is a little different than the multiplayer game. The core mechanics is similar, but there are some rules changes, and this piece of paper describes how to play solo, how to score the game, because you don't play against automa, you play and try to maximize your score. So you can see you have different results, and you can see how well did it go to mine the dice from the mountain. Here we have the heroes. You have 6 different heroes. that you can use for a multiplayer game. Every hero has specific symbols. These symbols are also, you can find them on different dice that you will mine through the game. So these are additional symbols that you can use in your turn. So every hero is different. I really like the art. It looks cool. Here we have the mountain. You have to, you know, construct it, and then you place dice on the mountain itself, and you can take the dice from the top of the mountain. You cannot take dice from the bottom because you have to mine it like a real dwarf. So you can take dice from the top, and you know, you accumulate the dice. The dice have different abilities. You have, you know, hazard dice, tool dice, treasure dice, etc., etc. You have the whole instruction how to assemble the mountain. This is how it looks like. And we have a lot of dice. These basic dice are tunnel dice. They look like this. These are D6. And you have to gather, like you have to have straight. So numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a row. And you score point bar by having sequences of numbers starting from 1. Here you have hazard dice. So these dice are dangerous, and you will get negative points from these dice unless you have specific tools that will negate the negative effects. You have some dragons. There's also, on every dice there is a beer symbol. These are some special dice. In solo mode they work like like wild dice, and in multiplayer mode you can give it to another player and, you know, gain additional dice from the mountain. These are treasure dice. Whoops. You get points from the, you know, gems that are shown on the dice. So these are, you know, very valuable dice. You can see that there are not so many treasure dice in the whole game. And here we have the tool dice. You have some treasure chest, you have a pickaxe, a shield. Shield is against dragons. The hazard dice that you had before, because, you know, because you have to dig through the mountain and take dice from the top. You are not always able to have to pick the dice that you really want. Sometimes you don't have a choice and you have to take something not really great, like the hazard dice. But thanks to tools, you can turn the negative points into positive points. And these are very nice looking magic dice, and they help you, because in the game, when you play the game, you fill the mountain with dice 3 times, and the magic dice help you to keep the dice that you have picked for next round without re-rolling. In solo mode they work a little different, because thanks to magic dice you can put some dice from the mountain back in the bag, so they can appear in the next round. And you have a nice bag, because you have to put all the dice inside, you know, shuffle it, and then fill the mountains with different dice for you to mine. And here is the scoring sheet. You score in a multiplayer game, you score 3 times. You have 3 different rounds. In solo game, you score once at the end of the game, but you also have 3 rounds, but the rounds depend on you, because you can 3 times, you can refill the mountain, and then you have the final score. So not so many components. The dice are the, you know, main elements of the game. They are really nice custom dice. And let's go to the summary. I will tell you what I think about the game and a little more about the solo mode. So let's sum it up. What I think about Dice Miner? I think it's a really nice, small, easier game. A game that you can play between some, you know, bigger titles, or a game that you can play at start of a game night, or even a game that you can play in the evening if you don't have, you know, a lot of time. to play something, you know, huge and big. I like the dice in this game. I like dice games, and I like the dice because they are like, you know, custom made. They have some nice, you know, images, and the cool thing here is that different dice score different points, and you have to think how to, you know, maximize the score and how to be most efficient every round when you pick the dice from the mountain. Because, you know, you are not always able to take the dice that maybe you would like to. Sometimes your opponents can take the dice that you wanted to take. So it's, you know, kind of strategic. It's cool that the game takes 3 rounds to play, and you will fill the mountain with dice 3 times. So you have, you know, more chance to, you know, maximize the point that you will get at the end of the game. But there is a trick that you have to, you know, re-roll some dice between rounds. And so you are not always, even if you have cool dice that you have mined on the first round, you never know what size they will show on the second round, because you have to re-roll the dice. There is an option to keep some dice if you have a special treasure, like tool dice with chests on them. But in general, you re-roll the dice that you have, so you never know what happens in the next round. I also like the solo play, the solo game here, because the solo mode works a little differently, because you don't have an opponent. You play and you try to get as many points as you can, so you are trying to beat your own score. I usually prefer games where you play against automa, but in a, you know, quick, shorter games like this one, playing to get most points, it's really okay. It's cool because the solo mode was differently, because different dice have different effects in solo mode, because you also fill the mountain 3 times, but here it's up to you when you do it. You can trigger the, you know, refilling of the mountain on purpose, so you have, it's more strategic. You can decide, you know, when to refill the mountain. You have more options to get some more combos and more dice, because you don't reroll the dice between rounds. So the solo mode plays a little differently, but it's also nice. And, you know, it's a fun, short game that takes 15-20 minutes. The box is, you know, quite compact. The components are great. You have the cardboard mountain that you fill with dice. You have different dice with a lot of color. You have a bag where you can put all the dice inside. So if you like dwarfs and if you like, you know, dice, I think this is a perfect game for you. Visit my Instagram and visit my, you know, Twitter, Facebook. I will post my review there. I will post more photos. You will find link in the description of the video. You will also find link to Atlas Games, where you can, you know, read more about the game and maybe buy it if you like it. So thank you for watching. Leave thumbs up if you like this video. You can subscribe to my channel, and thanks again for watching, and see you next time. Bye.